Welcome to the Power of Now. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have a special guest. He owns a tattoo shop in Port Jeff Station called Vamachara Tattoo. Thanks for joining us, Pat Dugan.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming out. I wanted to have a conversation with you. We kind of chopped it up a little bit on Instagram before this, and then, just when you got here, and it's really excited about this. First thing I'm going to ask you, obviously, you own a tattoo shop. I want to ask you, what's the first thing that you ever tattooed on somebody?
Jeez, that's an interesting question. I can't remember which was. Oh yes, no, I do remember which was first. I actually did when I was 18 years old. I was 16. I was definitely 16. And I remember me and a friend of mine, he was like this crusty punk dude, flipped up suicidal tendencies hat, like showered once every 6 months kind of dude. But his dad didn't really care if like the kids from the neighborhood came over and hung out at his house. He was this really cool dude, and he collected like medieval suits of armor and stuff, and like all these old war books, and like he was into like reloading like his bullets and stuff, and he was always going to the range. And he rode a Harley. He was a tattoo artist.
Oh, shit, okay.
So my buddy was like, I'm going to grow up and be a tattoo artist like my dad. And actually, like, that's what planted the seed in my head of thinking, like, I could be a tattoo artist. Because, honestly, most of the adults that I knew in my life growing up, they were pretty unhappy. They all worked, like, shit jobs. Like, pretty much all the men in my family all drove trucks. Like whether it be an 18-wheeler or like a tow truck or something like that. And then most of the women in my family all worked in kitchens. Like I remember my mom waking up at like 3 a.m. to go like boil bagels at the bagel store and that kind of stuff. Or my aunt worked at a catering hall, that sort of thing. So they all just seemed like unhappy. And I thought that I was honestly like kind of a depressed kid because I thought that was the inevitability of my life. Mm-hmm. So when I met my friend's dad and he like owned this house and he seemed genuinely happy and he did all this kind of stuff, I was like, fuck, I want to be a tattoo artist. And at the time, I was more into playing music and skateboarding and all that kind of stuff. But when I was 16, I had this like shift in my brain where I was like, no, I got to get into art. I got to do tattooing. This is something I could do. So me and my buddy, I remember we actually were like, yo, let's tattoo each other. So the two of us wanted to get into tattooing and we were like, yeah, let's do it. So, as you do, we first and foremost went up to the gas station and we shoplifted a couple 40s, First things first.
Right.
And we skateboarded back to his house. And I remember going upstairs with him and he was like, hey, Dad, we want to tattoo each other. This was this guy's style. He was just like, listen, guys, don't tattoo each other. But if you were going to tattoo each other, I'll show you exactly how to set everything up. But I'm not going to be in the room. I'm going to leave.
Plausible
and you guys,
deniability.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, he was the kind of guy where it was like, hey, how do we make a chlorine bomb? He'd be like, don't make a chlorine bomb. But if you were going to make a chlorine bomb, everything you need is back in the garage. Yeah. And I would probably do it in the power lines and then get the hell out of there before anybody gets back. Right. But do not make a chlorine bomb.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so he was just like a rad dude. So he came in, showed us how to set up all the equipment, how to do everything, like kind of give us the lowdown. And then me and my friend were like, yeah, let's go. So he actually did this very small tattoo on the back of my hand, which was a classic hip hop group from like the early 2000s called the Weathermen. Okay. I don't know if you knew of them. It was like Cage, Camoteo, Aesop Rock, Tame One, Megahertz,
right.
It was all like Def Jux Records. LP, who's now in Run the Jewels,
gotcha,
was the owner of that record label. It was kind of during the same era as like Jedi Mind Tricks, Atmosphere, all that kind of stuff. And I was a huge fan, so I decided to get that. I didn't want to get anything big, so we just did this little symbol on the back of my hand. And then right after he finished it, I did a DRI logo, which was Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. They were like a punk thrash band.
Okay.
On my friend's arm. And it actually came out really fucking good.
Right.
I have a photo somewhere of it with some like dingy like film camera I took it with.
Nice.
But my next couple tattoos after that one that first came to mind when I was trying to go through the mental Rolodex and think what was my first one were stick and pokes that didn't come out nearly as good.
Okay.
So my first tattoo, pretty fucking sick. My second through 20th tattoo, not so much.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. All right. So, and you kind of already answered like what my next question was going to be, is like what gave you the drive to want to get into tattoos. So basically at 16, your friend's dad inspired you to get into that profession. Now, how long did it take you from that point before it actually became something that you were making a living doing?
So, I worked a lot of jobs before I got into tattooing, and I always like took it super serious. And I like, all these shit jobs that like my friends were just phoning it in. They show up hungover, they show up, and I always tried to move up as best as I could. Like I worked at Walmart for a long time.
Yeah.
I actually kept getting raises, kept getting moved up, got up to like being a manager and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
But it was always just a stepping stone in my mind, So that's why, like if I thought it was going to be the inevitable be all end all of my life, I was like, I'd rather eat a bullet. But like, if it was something I was just going to do for 2-3 years, and it was just another stepping stone on my way, I was happy to show up and do it like it meant something.
Gotcha.
But so yeah, I worked as a like a dog trainer at a dog daycare center.
Nice.
I was a bicycle messenger, delivering packages in New York City. I worked at a gun shop, I did construction work, like demolition stuff and that sort of thing. But I tried to get into tattooing like pretty much right at 18.
Right.
I started going into shops and trying to like show them what drawings I was doing and that sort of thing. And I was having a really hard time getting anybody that wanted to teach me. I mean, honestly, I felt like when I was that young, I kind of felt like my perceived outsider status in society, that like I felt like I was a bit of an outcast. I felt like that gave me the right to just like somebody to open the door to this like other outcast world to me.
Yeah.
It was very like presumptuous and sort of like entitled of me. But at the time, that was where my head was at. And I can now think back on it and be like, yeah, I was like a cocky kid who thought this should just be handed to me.
But you felt like you belonged in that world.
Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't find anybody to teach me. And I did find one guy who actually said, I'll take you on, kid, on one condition. And I said, what's that? Granted, at the time, I mean, like I was making $450 a week. And like I had like expenses and stuff. I didn't even have a fucking car. I'm like riding a BMX bike everywhere, that kind of stuff. He was like, $10,000, I'll teach you how to tattoo.
The fuck?
And for me, like only making $400 a week.
Yeah, 10,000 might as well be 10 million.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's insane. I'll never be able to, in my mind then, fathom it. So the funny thing in hindsight is that instead I went out and took $100,000 out in loans to go to art school.
Go figure.
It's like, yeah. So like, I mean, at the time I didn't think anything of it, but now like in hindsight, I see the irony of being like, no, 10K is too much, but I'm going to spend $100K to get a degree in something that's not even going to help me directly get into the tattoo industry.
That's pretty nuts. So you're how old at this time? Still around 18?
Yeah, when I was 18, that's when I applied for art school and basically decided I was going to go that route because they would give me loans. Nobody was going to give me a $10,000 loan to just go in and start tattooing.
Gotcha.
So I went to school, basically went to school in Manhattan at School of Visual Arts, studied illustration, used up most of my, they don't allow double majors.
Okay.
But I tried my best to also learn graphic design. I did a lot of hand-done typography while I was there. I was doing a lot of collage type of work. Stuff that didn't really honestly look like tattooing in any way. I had some professors that were used to be in the tattoo industry that were really valuable to me. And I told them that I was interested, and they were like, your work does not look like tattoo shit, like at all.
What did it look like?
There's an illustrator named Dave McKeon. He did the covers for like the Sandman comics.
Okay.
I was obsessed with him. There was this guy, Baron Story, who was kind of a teacher of his. Really like a lot of dark art stuff like H.R. Giger, who did like all the stuff for the Alien movies. I don't know if you ever seen Alien, all that stuff he designed. Bekshinsky, who was like a Polish painter kind of in that sort of realm, fairly like dark surrealism stuff. And I was just, into like really textural things and stuff that was really over the top, like kind of grotesque looking. I mean, because I was also into black metal, and even like my hip hop stuff that I was into tended toward like the horrorcore dark stuff.
Gotcha.
So I was just always into like this really dark, sinister kind of like vibe. So I was doing that kind of artwork
Where did that come from? But that what was it that drew you to like everything dark, like, you know, dark metal, dark art?
I think it was a number of things. Because growing up, my mother was actually like a very classic heavy metal fan.
Okay.
So like pretty much I used to joke that probably driving home from the hospital when I was born, there was probably either Judas Priest or Iron Maiden playing in the car.
Gotcha.
You know, in my mom's red Camaro, she went through probably 20 red Camaros when I was growing up. But she was into, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, that kind of stuff. And then when I was about 5, I moved into a house where my uncle also lived, who was an 18-wheeler truck driver, and he was more of like punk rock and thrash.
Okay.
And he showed me the more extreme stuff like Slayer and like White Zombie, which was Rob Zombie's old band.
Yeah.
He showed me also like things like the Beastie Boys and Black Flag and the Bad Brains and that sort of stuff. So more punk stuff, Motorhead. And he actually used to ride BMX in the 80s. He did like half pipe stuff and that sort of thing. So he got me into like BMX riding. So I always had like I remember actually in our house, we had like tapestries hanging up of like Megadeth artwork and stuff like that and Slayer stuff and everything else. So, and then on top of that, when I was growing up as a kid, we watched a lot of horror movies in my house. I saw a lot of crazy horror stuff when I was like really young. We're talking like 7 years old, and I'm watching Silence of the Lambs and that kind of stuff. And
that'll do it. That'll draw you into the dark side.
But then on top of that, I also had a lot of like kind of traumatic and like jarring paranormal experiences very young.
You want to get into that?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. But I had a lot of these things very young. My grandmother, if you would have asked her, she would have told you she was Catholic.
Yeah.
A lot of the things my grandma did probably would have gotten her burned at the stake only a couple centuries ago. She did a lot of like angel magic stuff.
Okay.
You know, she was all into the archangels and whatnot and everything, and doing like special spells and prayers to them. Mm-hmm. And one of her very good friends was a tarot reader who used to come over our house all the time and do readings for my whole family. So I was kind of given a little nibble of that there was something counter to like traditional mainstream Christianity out there.
Right.
But most of my family, you know, like immediate family was not overly religious. It was like the kind of like we pay it lip service when we have to at a christening or a wedding kind of thing. But being that I had these experiences that I was trying to make heads or tails of and fucking sort out, I needed to figure out why these things were happening to me and what I could do about it.
Okay. So
like getting into the occult and spirituality and that sort of thing, it gave me some answers that like Christianity and like all the things as it was presented to me weren't giving me.
Right.
You know, it's like when you're being like tormented by ghosts in the middle of the night, like, you know, it's like Christianity's not really giving me answers on how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Which turned into like, as I got older and I started, you know, getting into the punk and metal scene, I kind of found these weird corners of punk and metal with things like black metal and then some of the odder corners of like the metalcore scene. With bands like, there was a band called 108 where they were all like Krishna monks. Mm-hmm. So that got me into reading like the Bhagavad Gita and all these like Eastern texts. I got really into Zen Buddhism because of some guys that I met in the hardcore scene that were into Zen. And I started just exploring a lot of Eastern traditions. And then on top of that, I remember getting a copy of the Satanic Bible, reading that. And that was a big change for me. But at that point in my life, these things were very separate. You know, the Eastern traditions and then like this Satanism stuff that I kind of stumbled on. I didn't really see any connection between them, but it was all cool and interesting to me.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I got into all that stuff.
Right. And I kind of relate to all that in different ways. So I had a grandmother too on my dad's side who was the same way. Like she would tell you she was actually Lutheran, but she was into like all this other shit. And my dad, so it's weird. My dad was Catholic.
Was she from the U.S. or did she come from somewhere else?
She was from the U.S., but so like her family, I think her parents were like from like Germany.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, my grandmother came as a teenager from Poland.
Okay.
So she had all these like weird folky beliefs and stuff. Like,
Right.
You know, anytime you got sick, it was like stand on your head in the bathtub with a mouthful of ketchup, with,
Right.
honey in your ears, and that's going to cure your
Eat
strep throat or whatever.
sauerkraut.
Yeah. But that's why I was curious. I
Yeah.
find that a lot of that kind of weird, you know, we're Lutheran or Catholic and like you do weird shit.
Yeah.
Comes from a lot of like first generation people who
Right.
like come over from.
And my dad would get really freaked out over like she had a crystal ball that she would like purify and like she would like I forget how it used to go, but I know she had to like she couldn't have, what was it that she couldn't have in the room? Maybe there couldn't be any mirrors in the room.
Mirrors, yeah, that's usually they're covered with a black cloth or something.
Yeah, bro.
It's
So
considered a portal, like a
this is the kind of shit I wasn't really allowed to ask questions about this because my dad was like super hardcore Catholic, and he would get freaked out over it, and he didn't want me to like know about it, but like, but I was super interested in it.
That backfires usually.
Yeah, and like
things you don't want your kids to know about.
Yeah, because like even when we were kids, like he took me and my sister to like Salem, Massachusetts one year around Halloween, and he was like, it was cool to like do it as like a tourist and like do it for like the fun little like Halloween shit. But if I was in a store looking at like a fucking spell book, he was like, what do you like, put that shit down? Like he was afraid of it. So oddly enough, it was his mother that was into all that shit too though. And she had a sister that actually, or I think it was a sister that lived in like Bisbee, Arizona. And she used to do like, I think she was a medium. I never met her, but
Isn't that where Doug Stanhope is from?
Yeah, that's where Doug Stanhope lives. And when I heard that Doug Stanhope lived there, I was like, oh, my aunt Esther lives there, you know, but I never met her. But yeah, so that was one whole thing. And then with like the paranormal experiences, I don't talk about them a lot, but I've had like a few of them growing up. And like the scariest one I remember was like, I think I was like 12 or 13. And I had this doctor, I might have even been 14. I had to go to a specialist for my back. I had a back problem. And I had to go to this doctor the next morning and I was worried about it. And I was like, I remember like trying to go to sleep, but I was super anxious. I couldn't sleep. And I had this weird feeling like somebody was in my room. Like I like felt footsteps walking towards me. Like, and it wasn't like I just heard them. Like I felt the floor flexing underneath me. So I felt like somebody was in my room. And like, I don't know why. I just thought it was like my dad like fucking with me because it was too dark for me to really see. Yeah. But I could see like motion in the air, but I couldn't see what it was. And it felt like somebody was like waving their hand in front of my face. And I could like almost feel like the wind from their hand and like the warmth from their hand being that close to my face. And I just like turned around and like went like, I like waved my hand. I was like, get the fuck out of my room. And I shouted out. And then like I went like this and I didn't feel anything. So I like stood up and I walked towards the light switch, turned on the light, and I was like, that's fucking weird. So I turned off the light and then like a little while later, the same thing happened, but I felt like I was floating, bro. Like I looked down and like my body wasn't touching the bed and I freaked out and like dropped down like half an inch to the bed. Like I was like literally like probably, I felt like I was like just barely off the bed. And when I turned, I like hit the bed and then
like levitating.
Yeah. Like I was levitating, bro. And I like scrambled to the light switch, turned it on. And bro, I didn't sleep in my room for like a year after that. I literally fucking slept on the couch, bro, because I was afraid to go in my room. But I never saw that thing again. And my grandfather, it was my dad's stepfather, but he was the only grandfather I knew on that side. He was big into like the occult, and he had a friend from the Caribbean who was like a big another guy who used to do like seances and all this shit. But when I told him about it, he said that was a not to say like Casper the Friendly Ghost, but he said that was a friendly ghost. Like because he said that ghosts that don't mean any harm, if you tell them to leave, they'll never come back because they don't want to scare you. They don't want to hurt you. And he said it was probably my grandmother, because my grandmother used to live in that house. And he said that because I was like worried about she was probably trying to comfort me because she knew that I was worried about going to the doctor the next day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And, but yeah, I never saw anything again. But from the time that my grandmother had passed away, up until that time, I used to always have these weird things where like I would be in the backyard and I'd look up and I would think I saw her looking down out the window, but then I would do another double take and she'd be gone. Yeah. My sister and my cousin and I all have different times where we smelt her perfume in the house. Weird stuff like that, you know?
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
And I don't ever usually talk about this, but because you brought up like the paranormal, and this is going to come out and be released like right before Halloween. So this is going to be like a spooky Halloween special. But if you want to get into your little...
I was going to say maybe my first one that I remember having. I don't think it might not have been my very first, but this one sticks out in my mind. I was probably about 6 years old. My mom used to have this we had a garage apartment that was kind of converted, and I had a bedroom in there, but where my bedroom was got really drafty a lot of times. So, and my mom had this cool water bed. You know, it was like crazy. Like, what the hell happened to all the water beds?
Water beds were this
like
shit,
in the '90s, everybody had a water bed, but like now nobody.
We didn't have one, but if we were in a furniture store somewhere that had it, I would like always go fucking run to the water bed right away.
It was pretty awesome, but I used to sleep at the foot of my mom's bed, and it was a pretty big bed. My mom is literally like 4'10". Right. She's like so I would sleep at the foot of the bed, and one night I woke up because I heard something, and I felt frozen. Like, and I saw this figure standing next to the bed who looked like a silhouette of my mom, but I could feel that my mom was in the bed with me still. Now, my mom has an identical twin who lived in the house with us. So at first I thought it was her, but I was like, why is she standing over the bed, and why can't I move? And I thought I was just like so paralyzed with fear, and that's why I couldn't move. Later on, I learned about sleep paralysis and that kind of stuff. But I'm a little kid, so I just think I'm so terrified I can't move. Right. And I stare at this thing who's just standing over the bed, kind of like breathing. And there, after a while, this orb of light starts floating around the room. It does circles around the figure. It comes over near me. It's going over by like the little coffee table that we got. And it's just so bizarre. And it seemed like I stared at it for hours, and I'm trying to kick my mom to wake her up. And somehow it seemed like I got my foot to like break free, and I was kind of kicking her, but she wouldn't move. The figure didn't move. And eventually when the light started coming through the blinds, it just disappeared. Wow. The next day, I told my mom when she got up about what had happened, and she was like, "Oh my God, Patrick, that was an angel." And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, if that's an angel and God sent that angel, then fuck God and fuck his angels. So maybe that's where a seed was planted.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And bro, like I always had an interest in like different things that, like you said, like my dad didn't like all that other type of shit, but I always had an interest in it. Like I would read anything that you weren't supposed to read. I'd want to read more. You know what I mean? Like even when I was in like school, if they talked about like a book that was banned, I wanted to go read it and find out why. So
I'm still like that at 33.
yeah, bro. So yeah, all types of shit. I looked into like the Satanic Bible and all that shit. And it's not like, when I first read into it, I thought it was going to be like Rosemary's Baby type shit. Yeah. You know? But it's not at all what you think it is. However, I will say this. Have you ever been to Vegas?
No, I would love to go, but...
All right, so my girl and I were in Vegas last summer. Don't go to Vegas in the summer, whatever you do. It's fucking brutal. We were there in August, and it was like 3 a.m, and we would like walk outside. It was like 100 degrees. Like at 3 a.m, I wanted to die.
I'm not a heat guy.
I'm not a heat guy. So going like February or some shit. But anyway, we were there, and there's this place called Zach Bagan's Haunted Museum.
Okay.
This dude, Zach Bagan, he's got a show on, I hope I'm saying his name right. I'll look it up after. But he has a show on Discovery Plus now that's like based on the museum he has in Vegas. Before that, he had other paranormal type of shows. But what he did was he bought this haunted mansion that used to be owned by some family had it built out there, and then some crazy shit happened. Like there were mysterious deaths, and there were rumors that in the 70s it was occupied by a cult that used to do like sacrificial ceremonies in the basement of this place. So he bought this building and he turned it into the Haunted Museum. And what he put in there, anything that he could buy at auction or from the owner, anything he could buy that was related to something haunted or the item itself was haunted, he put in the museum. So it's not like a haunted house type of thing. It's kind of like, it's literally a museum if anything. Yep. And so like one of the things, bro, he literally had, who the fuck was that doctor? Jack Kevorkian. He got Jack Kevorkian's death van. The van where he did all these assisted suicides, he has it inside the museum. He had things from, there's a whole room, and apparently this place changes all the time as he gets different stuff, he cycles it out. But when we went, there was a whole room that was it was dressed up like a prison cell. And he had like stuff from different serial killers from when they were in prison. So he had like letters from John Wayne Gacy's family, like back and forth with them. Same thing with Charles Manson and like he had stuff from Ted Bundy's jail cell. He had the car that it was the Porsche that what's his name died in now, James Dean.
Oh, okay.
The Porsche that killed him, because apparently that Porsche was haunted. And the story with that was that, like, after he died in that Porsche, apparently they salvaged some of the parts and put it into another car that had another crazy wreck where somebody died in. And then, so...
I got to look into that. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, if you ever go to Vegas, that was probably the best thing we did in Vegas.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's in, like, it's either in or near the Arts District, which is... What we kind of like the most is they had all these different like pawn shops and thrift stores and like more like antique stores, I would say, than pawn shops. But in Vegas, the antique stores are like, bro, you could walk around there and find the sickest shit. Like they had like gold records from Elvis that somebody that worked on an Elvis record like sold there, and like just all kinds of cool shit.
That's
wild. But the haunted museum was like, bro, they had there was a lot of popularity around it around the time we went because Post Malone had gone there.
Okay.
And so there's this box that he added to the museum. It's like one of the last things you would see. And this box was supposedly haunted, and it was supposed to give you bad luck if you were near it.
Okay.
And then after Post Malone left, his flight had to have an emergency landing because something was wrong with like the landing gear or something like that. And so there was all this like speculation about if this box that was in the haunted museum was really haunted. And so, yeah, I mean, definitely look into that. If I was you, I'd definitely check it out.
You know, what's funny I immediately thought of was a couple years ago, I went to Los Angeles and I was guest spotting there. This shop called Suarte Tattoo, which is in like downtown LA, kind of right on the border of Skid Row, which I actually got to walk through.
Yeah.
Which is a total trip. It's kind of one of the privileges of looking kind of sketchy like I do.
Yeah.
I was wearing biker boots and shit too and everything else. And it was funny because all the dudes in the tattoo shop I was working at, most of which are Hispanic, some of them had been to prison and stuff. And they're like, yeah, dude, take one look at you. I'm going to think you're a Hell's Angel or something. So people will leave you the fuck alone. I was staying in South Central for like the time I was there. And they were like, dude, you're one of the only white guys I'd ever met who would stay in a place like that. But you look in the way you do, you'll be pretty much left alone. But while I was there, I remember I had a friend out there, and we were on the street on San Pedro in downtown LA, and I see this building in the kind of the skyline.
Right.
And I don't know why. I just kind of looked at it, and I was like, what's the deal with that building? I don't even know why I asked it. She turned, and she's like, oh, you don't know what that building is? I'm like, no, what is it? It was the Cecil Hotel?
Oh, shit. Yeah. I
Which,
just saw a documentary about that.
Exactly. I didn't know anything about it. I just looked at it, and she was just like, that is so trippy. You picked that out of the skyline for no reason.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that thing right there. And she's like, and so I went home, and I started researching it, and then found all the stuff about the woman who, like, acting all erratic, ended up in the water tank dead. And
bro, they were drinking that water.
Oh.
That was the worst part of that documentary, is that these people from like fucking somewhere in Europe, they're like being interviewed, and they're like, yeah, the water was kind of brown, and it smelled weird, but we drank it anyway. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, if my water came out brown, smelling weird, I'm not fucking drinking that shit. What's wrong with you?
Insane.
But yo, that we made sure, because we watched that documentary like right before we were on the West Coast, so we were in LA. we did drive past the Cecil, and we drove through Skid Row. I didn't get out and walk around, but we just kind of like, because we wanted to go see the Cecil, and then while we were there, we just ended up like driving through Skid Row, and we're like, what the fuck? This is trippy over here.
Skid Row is gnarly, man. I actually took a bunch of photos while I was there too. It's crazy. I have photos of it. I could see if I could dig them up and send them to you, but there was like an altar that somebody had built on the side of the road in the middle of Skid Row, and they had this like blanket over it that was like gold. Yeah. So you have all these like tents and everything like that, and you have this golden altar with like the Bible open on it, like to a certain page. And I was like in the middle of all this, like it was pretty crazy. And I felt like it was such a testament to like, the power of like spirituality, even at like how it almost intensifies at like humanity's lowest, that sort of impulse. And I'm like, even amongst this, man, where these people are like struggling just to get by and survive every day, it's like this sacred space was kind of created amongst all this.
Right.
I thought that was pretty incredible.
That is actually. And,
I was going to say something you mentioned earlier about the serial killer stuff that brought to mind.
Okay.
Being a tattoo artist who's kind of into this darker stuff and kind of has a reputation for being into all this sort of occult and macabre stuff, over the years, people have given me some really interesting tips for tattoos.
Okay.
One of which was actually a cattle skull that actually Joel Rifkin used to play with as a child. Mm-hmm. And I hung it above my tattoo station for a long time at the old shop that I used to work at. And This leads into a pretty funny story, because there was this guy that I worked with who was this old school, like Italian, super Catholic guy. Okay. And he was super superstitious.
Okay.
So like I freaked him out constantly working with him, because like, I just, and it was great because it like scared him so much. I used to just do whatever the fuck I could. I would bring in like every weird magic thing I could bring in, made sure I had tarot cards around. Like everything. He's just always spooked. Yeah. So one day, this homeless guy comes, or he looked homeless, like something like that. He, seemed a little off. He came walking in and he's like, hey, I have a question. And he points at me and he's like, can you help me? And I'm like, what's going on, dude? What can I help you with? I'm in the middle of tattooing. He's like, I'm just trying to find the bus stop. So I started explaining to him like how to find the bus stop and everything like that. And the guy's listening and he's kind of like taking a mental note. And he says, all right, well, for your trouble and for helping me, I'm going to give you something. And he runs out of the shop. And all us tattooers and the clients start looking at each other like, what the hell? The guy comes running back in and he's got this blanket with something wrapped in it. He puts it down on top of the like knee wall that goes around the tattoo stations. Mm-hmm. And he's like, that's for you. Thank you for all your help. Have a good night. And he takes off. Mm-hmm. And fucking the other tattooer who's like super superstitious goes, I don't know what that is. Don't fucking touch it. You got to get it the fuck out of here. What is that? Like, yeah. So I laugh and I get up and I open it up and it's a vase, like a big vase. Yeah. And it's white with like blue swirls on it and shit. And, he's like, that thing's fucking cursed, dude. He just gave you a cursed vase. And I'm like, he's like, I don't know why you're touching that thing. You're out of your mind, dude. He's like, and we left it on top of the wall for the rest of the day. And he kept freaking out about it. Every 20 minutes, he was like, yo, can you guys get fucking rid of that thing?
Bro, that kind of reminds me of like something like, you ever see that Stephen King movie, Thinner? And it's like about the gypsies. And the gypsies will make you like touch something and then you get cursed. You know what I'm talking about?
No, my girlfriend Casper would definitely know. She's like the biggest Stephen King fan on the planet. But.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've gone through binges of like just going into like Netflix or whatever and just looking up like, or just going on Google, like what Stephen King movies can I stream and where? And I just watch them all. But because honestly, even the ones that are bad are good for some reason.
Yeah.
But
I'm like that with like Lovecraft stuff.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of bad Lovecraft movies, but they're still enjoyable because a lot of them are so fucking cheesy.
Right.
But
I got you.
But to finish out the vase story, it gets even funnier.
Okay, so what happens with this vase?
So we tell him like he's going home for the night, like earlier than me and a couple of the other guys. He's like, I'm taking off. We're like, oh, dude, we're gonna get rid of the vase. Like, we know it freaks you out, like this and that. So he leaves, and actually we had a piercer at the shop who had an apartment in his house, and that tattoo artist was going to be moving into his apartment soon in his house. So me and the owner of the tattoo shop were like, yo, we're going to get him good. So we took the vase and we gave it to the piercer.
Okay.
We told him like, yo, put it in the apartment somewhere. Like, so he takes it there and he's going to be moving in like a week. He puts it in like the kitchen cabinets or something.
Right.
And then we went down to the dollar store up the street and we basically like scoured the dollar store looking for like plates that kind of looked like the same color as the vase. And then we took the plates back to the tattoo shop, smashed them on the side of the building, and took photos of it, and then texted them in the group chat saying that we smashed the vase.
Okay.
So then, dude, he comes into work like a week later after he moves in, and he's like, yo, I thought you guys got rid of that vase. I'm like, we did, dude. I sent you the photos. He was like, it was in my apartment. He's like, I don't know how it got there. It followed me there.
Oh my God.
And I was like, really? What'd you do? He's like, dude, I wrapped it up in a plastic bag. And he's like, and I drove on the LIE as fast as I could and I threw it out the window.
That's great. I love shit like that, man.
Dude, it was just so funny fucking with him because he was so freaked out by like anything supernatural.
There's people that are just anything that, and you know what? Honestly, with that type of shit, I would be a little bit freaked out too that this random dude just dropped off a vase for no reason. Like, where did he have that vase from?
Yeah.
Why did he think he was going to give it to you as a gift? But people's brains don't really, some people's brains are just a little bit off and they just want to do something nice. And he probably, I'm just sitting here trying to dissect where this vase came. He probably had a fucking shopping cart filled with random artifacts that he picked up over his travels and said, oh, I'm going to give this guy something. And
yep. It's funny though. It's not the first time in my life where random people have come up to me and given me like interesting things.
Little
so
trinkets.
It just seems to be like, you know, even some people where you kind of expect it. Like there's an occultist, Damien Eccles. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No, I never have.
There's something called the West Memphis 3. There was a lot of documentaries about them and stuff. But he's a guy who basically as a teenager got framed for the murders of some young kids.
Okay.
Him and two other kids, one of which was like mentally retarded. And I believe two of them died in prison and he was the only one that survived.
Wow.
He was stuck in solitary confinement for most of the time he was in there. Really horrible conditions. He ended up getting let out when they figured out that he was innocent, but it took like 15 years for him to get out.
Wow.
And he basically attributes his ability to stay sane while in there to his studies of ceremonial magic, and he got into a lot of the angel magic stuff. And I remember I met him and he actually gave me this like golden coin. It looks pricey, man. I don't know. He like pulled it out and he's like, I give these to like special people I meet. And it was a Archangel Michael inscribed on it, big coin. You know, it's pretty cool. I actually have it on this little altar that I have by my tattoo station and stuff. And, you know, so it's pretty cool. Like, you know, and I've had other stuff where like I've just been walking down the street and I remember some like little like 5-year-old girl ran up to me and just handed me like a bunch of wood chips. You know, she's just like, here for you. And like, you know, my friend that was with me, he's like, why does weird shit always happen to you?
It's like you attract this shit.
Yeah, exactly, you know?
Yeah.
Most of it seems to be positive, though. Sometimes it's just chaotic, like a weird vase, but, you know.
So, you know, obviously you're into the occult, and you did mention horror movies, too. What's, if you had to pick, since we're on the little occult / Halloween topic here, top 3 horror movies?
That's really tough.
That's why I didn't just ask you your favorites. I feel like it's easier to pick 3.
I'm going to go with maybe Hellraiser.
Okay.
I'm going to throw The Ninth Gate in there. I feel like people don't talk about that Johnny Depp movie. It's pretty... People, it's like everybody knows like just about every Johnny Depp film, but for some reason that one's overlooked.
Bro, I thought I did. I don't know that one though.
Yeah, it's
and I know a lot of movies. I know a lot of Johnny Depp movies specifically too, but I don't know that one.
He's a rare book finder in the movie.
Oh shit!
He gets hired by some very rich client to basically hunt down a book that was supposedly written by the devil.
Wow.
And basically he has a copy of it, and there's a couple copies in the world, and he wants to see if there's differences between the copies, which there ends up being, and that's kind of how the story goes.
Oh shit.
But
okay.
He becomes almost obsessed with the book as much as the collector is that he's supposed to be working for.
Yeah.
So
that sounds like it's right up my alley type of movie.
It's a fucking cool movie.
Like a treasure hunt / horror occult /
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Number 3, I'm probably going to go with Silence of the Lambs because
That's an iconic one.
and it's one that stuck with me because, again, I saw it when I was really young.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the only, because I remember watching Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Children of the Corn, The Exorcist, all these kind of classic movies. None of them really gave me nightmares. But Silence of the Lambs did. It was one of the only ones. And it was funny because I was so young, I don't think I really understood much of the movie, but it was just the vibe. Like, it was creepy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't even probably didn't have the most fleshed out nightmares. I just basically, like, was sleeping with that creepy feeling from the movie.
I get you. And the thing I'll say too, when it comes to seeing scary movies when you're a kid, it's weird the effect it has on you compared to going back and watching them later and how certain things stick out in your mind.
Yeah.
So my dad showed me this movie. I was probably like 7 or 8 when he showed it to me. And it was called like The Night Stalker or The Night Strangler, like something like that. Mm-hmm. There's like a sequel, and one of them's called The Night Stalker, one of them's The Night Strangler.
Is it about Richard Ramirez? They're kind of like...
It's about this like investigative reporter who, in the first one, I think he finds out that there's like vampires.
Oh, okay. So
all in, I think it's in like Colorado or some shit like that. And he ends up getting like in trouble. Like, they basically cover it up at the end of the movie, and he gets in trouble, gets fired. And then the second movie, he's in Seattle and he finds that there's also vampires there, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So what happens? What I remember from watching it as a kid is it fucking scared the shit out of me. First of all, like, and I didn't really remember exactly why. I just remembered that when I was a kid, it really scared me. And I remembered like there was this one scene where so the vampire, spoiler alert, the shit came out in like 1977. So if you haven't seen it yet,
yep.
Too bad. But what happens is, this vampire, every 21 years, he has to like go on a killing spree to get enough blood to get him to stay, revitalize, right? So this investigative journalist, he finds the pattern that there's 18 murders that happen every 21 years, and they happen like within a certain time frame. Mm-hmm. And he goes back into like every like archive and every newspaper going all the way back to like the 1800s. So in the Seattle area specifically. Or I think it started in New York and then it moves to Seattle at a certain point.
Seattle's an interesting place for that to happen. They got that whole like city under the
city. Well, bro, that's a part of the plot.
Yeah.
So he chases this vampire down to the underground city, mm-hmm. and he stops him from drinking the blood like in the time that needs to do it, and the dude like ages 100 years in a few seconds, and he turns into like, and he's like running after the guy, and he's like transforming into this old decrepit creature at the same time. And so my dad and I just watched it like a few weeks ago. He like found the DVD of it and we watched it. And when I saw the fucking face of the old fucking vampire, I was like, yo, that's what traumatized me when I was a kid. Cause I didn't remember it, but when I saw it, I was like, yo, that's what it was. I remember fucking seeing that when I was a kid, and it scared the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. But now watching it, it's like, it's still a good movie, but it's not like obviously going to traumatize you the way it did when you're a fucking 7-year-old kid.
We've been exposed to like so many more hardcore things. I think even our generation and stuff.
Yeah.
Like now that we're young. Cause I remember my mother was like, you know, absolutely terrified by The Exorcist. I watched it at like 6, 7 years old and thought it was hilarious. I enjoyed it, but it was funny to me. I'm like,
right.
You know, she's like puking on the pastor and pissing on the floor. It's the funniest shit to me. And she was like, this scared the crap out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, or like Children of the Corn was another one that she showed me. And I remember after watching that, I was running around the house going, Malachi, with a plastic knife for like weeks after that, you know?
Me and my cousins watched that one. Bro, you know what's... a lot of it has to do with setting too. So my sister, my cousin and I, a bunch of my cousins, we'd all go to my grandparents' place upstate. And if we watched a scary movie up there, it was fucking 10 times scarier because you're in like this weird place where like there's nobody around, you know, and it's darker up there.
Yep.
There's no fucking hospital to go to. There's no police department nearby.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody there to help you. So when you if you're watching a movie there and you start getting freaked out, it's like, it's so much scarier. And you know, even at that time we watched the Blair Witch Project, back when people were still arguing if it was real or not.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
And I'm your age too. I'm 32. So like we were, how young were we when that shit came out? We were like little kids.
8, 9 years old.
Yeah. Like but my older cousin, he was probably like 18 or 19, and him and his girlfriend, they got a copy of it. And then me and like my sister and all my cousins, we like sat there and fucking watched it, and we're up in the fucking sticks in the woods. And now it's like, you know, the next day when you're walking around in the woods, you're thinking to yourself like, fuck, like, are we going to have some crazy shit going on? Little stick
figure, the shit in the trees.
And bro, when you're 7, it's hard to differentiate like reality from what's real and what's fake, you know? And now that I'm older, I feel like the movies that freak me out more are not the paranormal as much as like if I watch something that's just about human beings being cruel to each other, because that shit's fucking real, bro. That shit happens, you know?
It's weird too, like the ones that I seem to enjoy now are much more like thought-provoking and touch on like aspects of like the dark side of human psychology.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you've, you know, seen like modern horror stuff like Hereditary and Midsommar and like those type of movies. It's like this whole new school of like horror, and it's way more intelligent, and it's like it's again like touching on these like dark psychological tics that we have like as a human species, and
absolutely,
like, you know.
And I'm trying to think of when that might have been around like the time of The Conjuring maybe, or I don't know when that shift happened, but I know like it's like horror movies have evolved from like, you go back to, there was a time when it was just who could make the most brutal. Like when Hostel came out, it was let's just make the bloodiest, goriest. Saw,
gore porn,
all those fucking movies. It was just like who could be the most ridiculously graphic, or
you know, Final Destination, like, you know, that sort of stuff.
And I think Final Destination might have really been like maybe the start of that. You know?
I do think that was a little bit earlier than Hostel and Saw.
Yeah.
So, but
Hostel and Saw, like those movies when they came out, it was just like those were fucked up, but honestly, like they're not as fucked up as actually maybe now, you know, it's weird. So when Hostel came out, I was smoking weed at my friend's house, and we were all fucking stoned, like just watching it, and I don't remember it bothering me much, but I watched it a couple of years ago and it bothered me a lot more. I don't know if I'm just like I don't know, because maybe I'm older now, so I kind of see death a little bit differently than I did when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, my friend would pull up videos on the computer of like people being beheaded in, you know, overseas.
I remember the early internet.
Yeah, bro. and people would post this shit, and you didn't know that's what you were about to watch sometimes. Like sometimes you'd click on something thinking you were going to watch one thing, and then you see somebody's fucking head explode.
Yeah.
You know, and seeing that when you're 13, 14, I don't know, in a weird way, it didn't fuck with me as much. But now I was watching, actually my girlfriend and I just binge watched this show, The Fall of the House of Usher. It's like on Netflix right now. Yeah. And there's this scene where this glass mirror shatters, and a piece of the glass comes and cuts through a character's like throat, through their jugular. And watching shit like that happen now, I'm like grasping my throat like, fuck, you know what I'm saying? But like when I was a kid, I could watch it really happen and just be like, huh, that's weird, and then just move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I remember this like one video that I saw when I was a kid, and I feel like it's still one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen. I was probably 14, just skating around the internet, and it was like cartel members that tied some guy up, and it's just like pit bulls ripping his dick off.
Wow.
Like in the middle of the desert.
I don't remember that one, but I saw these cartel guys making a dude dig his own grave.
Yeah.
And then just fucking executing him.
Yep. Yeah, it was crazy, man. Early internet, and people are like, people are very offended by like, you know, stuff that's very tame by comparison now.
Bro, you could accidentally say some shit that people get more offended by these days. Yeah. Like super accidentally. Like you could think you're saying the right thing, and just people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you would say that."
That's so 6 months ago, you know?
Yeah.
How dare you?
But yeah, I mean, so horror movies kind of shifted, and I don't know when it happened, but I know those movies you're talking about, like Midsummer and Hereditary, all those movies.
We just watched this series. I believe it was an Apple TV original. It was called Severed. And there's only one season of it, which I was fucking pissed about because apparently they're filming a second one.
Yep.
But I don't think it's coming out for like a year and a half. And the first season left off on like the craziest cliffhanger.
You could thank the writer's strike for that.
Yeah. I was like, you motherfuckers, dude. You cannot leave
Yeah.
that kind of cliffhanger and then not have another season coming out for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But it was all about just talking about that the evolution of horror in this kind of way. It was about a town where most of the people in the town all work at this corporation that's in town. Nobody really even seems to know what the corporation does.
Okay.
Because the reason is when you get hired, you have to go through a mandatory sort of medical procedure where they put a little implant inside of your brain. Now, your life outside of work, you have no recollection of anything you did at work and vice versa.
Okay.
So you don't know any details about your life outside of work when you're in work. So it's funny, there's like people who are like office friends who don't even realize that they're neighbors in the outside world.
Wow.
Or like, they hate each other in the office and maybe they're fucking dating on the outside.
Wow.
Like they don't even know. And basically one guy starts kind of like trying to look into what his life is like and vice versa. And he starts kind of upsetting the whole thing. But it's so interesting because you're like, there was nothing like this in horror. Like,
Yeah.
It's getting so like, honestly, even psychedelic. Like,
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's kind of like, it kind of in a weird way reminds me of The Giver. You know that book where like
I didn't make that connection, but I could absolutely see where you're going with that.
Yeah. So it's weird. Like I don't even quite remember the whole plot of The Giver, but I know it was something where like the one kid was able to, what was he was able to do that nobody else could do? I don't remember if he was able to like, was he the only one that could see color?
Yeah, I think that was it.
Something
I was
like
probably
that.
15 when I read that.
Yeah. My brain's fried, but yeah, that sounds like an interesting show. Like the concept of not, because that makes you wonder, like, what the fuck are they doing? Are they doing? They're obviously doing some fucked up shit in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably creating some weapons of mass destruction or doing something that's going to fuck with each other in the real world.
It's weird. You want to figure out like what's the deal, what's going on with this whole thing. We watched another movie recently. It was this was a regular movie, but it was called The Double. And like throughout the entire movie, like I was watching it, and
I've seen that. I think
I turned to my girlfriend, and I'm like, this is literally like playing out like concepts of the shadow and the anima from Carl Jung, Jungian psychology, like, that kind of stuff. And when the movie was over, I explained how like each one of the key scenes kind of demonstrates an idea straight out of Carl Jung's works.
Right.
And I'm like, horror that's like citing like psychologists and like they're kind of, it's interesting. It's a great time to be into horror stuff.
Now they're doing this movie. So there's one that came out already where everybody's smiling at each other. I forget what the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
It's called Smile.
Yeah. We saw it in the theaters actually.
Yeah. That one looked fucked up. I didn't watch it yet.
Yeah.
But that's another like psychological type of thing.
It was interesting. It was definitely like an interesting. I enjoyed it. You know.
And then there's one that everybody's saying it's the scariest movie to come out in decades. It's called Talk to Me.
Okay.
And I don't know if you saw the trailer for this, but basically there's like this hand. It's like a statue, I guess it is. And if you shake the hand or something like that, some fucked up shit goes on. And
okay.
I don't even really quite remember the concept, but all these movies, like you said, it's like when you watch them, it fucks with your head more than it's like just to shock and like I feel like there's different types of fear. There's like the psychological fear, and then there's like the physical fear.
Yep.
The physical fear meaning of something physically happening to you, where like the psychological fear, it's more of kind of like the fear of the unknown. You know what I mean?
There's also these like uncomfortable concepts and ideas that I think we try and avoid, like the plague in our daily lives, just naturally as human beings.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of these movies, and it's actually something I've seen in like comics that actually like has kind of started seeping into the the superhero movies and stuff, like especially like Batman and stuff.
Right.
Where there's these ideas that we really like are inconvenient truths.
Yeah, they try to make you look in the mirror a little bit.
Exactly, and it's like it's funny because a lot of the stuff that these, especially the new kind of Batman films, whether it be Joker or The Dark Knight and that kind of stuff, they're kind of pulling from ideas that these writers in the late 80s and early 90s that were working for like DC Comics, especially under Vertigo, were kind of doing, where they kind of took the whole very black and white kind of childish view of like superheroes and kind of made them more complex and psychological. Yeah. And it's interesting to see like all these sort of modern incarnations of, when they're done right, superhero movies, or even like the Punisher series was another one, kind of taking those ideas and running with them, because I think they've become even more telling of like our current society than they were back then in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yep, definitely, man. All right, so just going back to, I guess, tattooing, 'cause the time goes quick. We're running out of time now. So Vamachara tattoo, real quick, give us a little breakdown, because we kind of got off path of the tattoo conversation after you went to School of Visual Arts. Give us a quick rundown of how you went from being in school and just getting started in tattoos to eventually opening up your own shop.
Okay. So when I was living out in Brooklyn, I graduated. I ended up getting hit by a car on my bicycle and got real fucked up. Started selling off a lot of my musical equipment and stuff, trying to keep up with rent. I got back to work, but I just basically couldn't weather the storm of bills piling up on me. So I ended up moving back out east to Long Island, kind of the Port Jeff area where my shop is now. But now that I had a degree, I was like, you know what, let me go try and start getting a tattoo apprenticeship again. Now all of a sudden I was going in places and they were like, oh, absolutely, I'll teach you. You know, because now I had these skills, and I had even gotten professional illustration clients. So I'm showing them, I'm like, here's legit bands I'm working with that I made this t-shirt design, this record cover. I worked for this pizza place to design a pizza box. This person I made business cards for. I did this graphic design job. And they were like, oh shit, this kid's legit. So I ended up apprenticing under Irish J, who had just opened up his own shop from leaving Tattoo Lou's. Which I was really hyped about. He was one of the artists that I looked up to kind of locally in Suffolk County. He's a legend. He'd been tattooing for 25 years. And there was this other guy, Tiki Steve, that worked there, who was also a, seasoned veteran in Suffolk County. He used to own 3 of his own shops. And I kind of got to learn under these guys. And I finished my apprenticeship, and usually apprenticeships take about 1.5 years, 2 years. I finished mine in 8 months.
Nice.
And I basically just fucking lived at the shop. Literally slept there a lot of nights. And I went directly into basically working 80-hour weeks and just busting my ass for 6 years or so. And that's when I kind of started hitting a ceiling of feeling because I wanted to do things that were a little differently than how they were done in most tattoo shops. And I was taking notes on things that I liked, the way that things went, and then other things that I wanted to change. We're really all about, at my shop, Vamachara, the client experience. We give people vegan lattes. We're all about our numbing cream, all that kind of stuff. And just, we have all these streaming services where people can watch movies and everything else. We try and make the entire experience as comfortable as possible. Our kind of philosophy is that the way people are now, it's so hard living in New York. Everybody fucking busts their ass. Everybody's working hard. You hardly ever take off time from work. Chances are this person who's coming in to get tattooed had to take the day off of work. Right. They're going to come in and sit through this miserable process of getting a tattoo grinded into them, right. On their rare day off. It's no, let's make this almost like a spa experience, and make it as comfortable as humanly possible, so they can go back to work feeling refreshed, not they just went through a war the day before,
right?
So yeah, that was the kind of thing, and then it's Vamachara Tattoo and Occult Supply Shop. So we also sell tarot card decks and some occult books, candles, incense,
nice,
sage, that kind of stuff. And then we have a lot of local vendors that sell crystal jewelry, and we have bones and stuff that people can buy, and taxidermy art. And we put on events and stuff. We just had one for Friday the 13th, which we always do. We do these magical sigil tattoos, $13, which a lot of tattoo shops don't even do Friday the 13th specials anymore. And then the Saturday before every Halloween. So we're going to be having an event coming up a ton of vendors out in the parking lot, all that kind of stuff. And then we got like a vegan baker coming. We got taxidermy artists, and tons of people are going to be selling cool shit.
Nice.
On top of us doing flash tattoos. So, it's just like the kind of culture that I wanted to build, around this sort of thing, really be overt about the occult and dark art and that kind of stuff. And it's really like an integral part of the identity of the shop.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was my whole thing, and kind of a speedy way to get up to where we're at now. And I mean, I've been open for about 4 years now.
Nice.
It's pretty funny because I, up until opening the tattoo studio, I just had a motorcycle. I didn't have a car. Mm-hmm. And it was December when I finally opened, so it was getting cold out.
Yeah.
And I'm riding just a motorcycle, and I'm like, all right, well, we're going to see how things go. First opening. As soon as I can get together like a sizable down payment, I'm going to go buy myself a nice car, something I really fucking like.
Yeah.
But I'm going to wait until I have enough money for it. I ended up having an awesome first month. So I went down to like the BMW dealership and was like, yo, give me something sweet, man. I'm like, as long as it's black and I want a 5 Series, like, let's go. And put like 10 grand down and basically rode out of there at the new luxury car.
That's got to be an awesome feeling.
Which was a great feeling, man. And I was like, there was parts in my life when, I was in art school my first semester. I was homeless. Mm-hmm. I was sleeping on the street and stuff, and basically just getting to take naps in the school library and stuff. And I would just walk around Manhattan all night.
Right.
So there was times in my life where I didn't have a pot to piss in, and I was anxious and unsure about the future. Right. So for me to walk into luxury car dealership and just buy a fucking car was like, a good feeling. And then the funny thing is 3 months later, they shut us down for COVID. I'm like, I probably wouldn't have bought a luxury car had I known we were going to be shut down for 6 months.
Yeah.
But it worked out. I ended up driving that car around the country a lot to go tattoo in other places. I went down to Tennessee and tattooed. I went to Virginia and tattooed.
Nice.
Once everything opened back up, I went back to California, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So just getting a lot of traveling in,
That's awesome.
When you had Casper on, she probably talked about her back piece.
Yeah.
And kind of when we went to Milwaukee, and it was like a good amount of traveling we were doing there for a bit.
That's cool.
So, just kind of spreading it around.
Awesome, man. And so if people want to find you, they can find you on Instagram at Biker Witch. That's spelled with 2 V's instead of a W. I'm going to put that in the description. And Vamachara Tattoo on Instagram. I'm going to put that in the description as well. And anything else that you want to plug or promote while you're on?
Again, we got that cool event going on Saturday before. I believe it's the 28th at the shop. That'll be going from 12 to 8. First come, first served if you're looking to get tattooed. But like I said, there's going to be a lot of vendors. Mm-hmm. It's always a good time. And then also we're on TikTok as well, which honestly, like, organic growth on Instagram is kind of dead. I actually got my old account deleted maybe about a year and a half ago. Wow. I was at about 20K.
Wow.
Never gave me a reason, nothing. Just got booted off and had to start over.
Wow.
I'm only at about 5K now, but honestly, like, the growth on Instagram is pretty shot. I mean, like, unless you have some kind of direct way to get people, like being on a podcast like this, they're not going to show your stuff because they're too busy showing people who have established, they're too busy showing you what Beyonce's got going on.
Right.
So TikTok, though, on the other hand, like, a lot of growth opportunity there. I'm at like 80K on there.
Nice.
And then my girlfriend is at about like 300K on there.
Wow.
And honestly, a lot of my Instagram followers come over from TikTok.
Wow. Okay.
So it's funny. And I don't even particularly personally like making TikTok content a lot of times.
Right.
But just for the fact that it allows you to reach such a bigger audience.
I got you.
It's kind of a necessary evil because, again, like, I was team Instagram for a long damn time.
Yeah.
But, kind of feeling like over time Instagram's been doing me dirty. So
I'll tell you the truth. That's why I'm on like every platform I could find, because I make like YouTube shorts, TikTok, Instagram, because I post all the same content on all 3 platforms, and sometimes something will be a complete dud on TikTok and Instagram, but on YouTube, it'll get 10,000 plus views out of nowhere. And then
I have a theory when it comes to social media platforms that I think YouTube is probably the best if you can do it, because there's almost a funnel at like how hard or how much social skill and like confidence does it take to make content for that platform. Right. So most people can post a photo on Instagram and write a caption under it. They're not freaked out by that. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. You know, maybe there's some people who don't want to show their face. Then you get to the level of showing your face, but you're still just typing. And then you think about TikTok, you actually have to like, you know, open up a little bit. A lot of people are just using sound, so they don't necessarily have to bring their own ideas to the table.
Right.
But then you get beyond that, people who actually do make their own independent content. But YouTube tends to be long form content. It tends to like expose people for how they are. It's a lot more intimate. You have to be a lot more on your game, and it takes a lot more work to make those videos.
Right.
So if you're able to carve out a space on YouTube, I think that's really where it matters, because YouTube is, you know, and I'm such a big fan of so many people who are YouTube creators, and I really think like that if you could dedicate to it, that's the platform to be on. But I think the barrier for entry on a place like TikTok is a little bit lower. It doesn't take as much of a commitment. You know, most YouTubers will tell you like they spend like 40 hours a week just editing their fucking videos. So
Yep, definitely. Yeah, because I'm on all of them. I'm putting out content on every platform every week, and the YouTube is definitely the most time consuming. But
say what you will about Elon, but like, you know, I know he's unveiling a lot of video stuff on Twitter as well with a lot of monetization opportunities. It doesn't really seem like he's completely gotten that stuff off the ground, but I'm keeping an eye on it because honestly, like, you know, if there's going to be an opportunity for making some money off of it, I'm all for it, man.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, definitely check out Vamachara Tattoo. Check out Biker Witch, and you know, make sure if you're looking to get a tattoo, you're on Long Island, you go over there, because it sounds like it's probably the best experience you're going to find out here. Thanks again for watching, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We got some great guests coming up in the future. If you have any guests that you think I should try to get on next, leave it in the comments and let me know. We'll try to reach out to them and get them on here. Have a great one, guys.